This week, we'll be talking about the STP strategy of a firm, better known as the segmentation, targeting, and positioning strategy. So a few reminders before we get started. If you remember back to the start of the semester, we talked about the market in general and the idea of a target market. So remember that a market is consumers with the desire and ability to buy a specific product. And then we often focus on a smaller group of consumers known as our target market. So this is going to be a specific group of potential consumers that the organization will direct its marketing programs towards. Our focus this week is on how we segment both consumers in the market and products in the market in order to select the best consumers and try and reach for them for a particular product that we may be marketing. When we think of a segmentation strategy, we are using segmentation and targeting to link buyers' needs and the organization's marketing programs that they are putting out to consumers. So segmentation leads to tangible marketing actions that can increase sales and profitability for the firm. So this is a nice figure that demonstrates how we identify those needs in the market. We link those to actions by taking steps to segment and target specific markets, and then we execute our marketing program actions through our 4 Ps or through the marketing mix. And again, those are the product, the price, the promotion, and the place, just in case you've forgotten at this point. We're going to talk about 2 forms of segmentation. One is market segmentation that considers consumers, and 2, product segmentation that considers products themselves. So market segmentation is a relatively similar group of prospective buyers that results from the market segmentation process. Market segmentation relates to forming meaningful groups where people or organizations should be grouped into a market segment according to some form of similarity in their needs or their desires, or even the benefits that they may be looking for within a program. And secondly, we want to group people together by that similarity and the idea that they will respond to marketing actions in a similar way. Now, from this, we can develop our specific marketing mix actions. And this could involve maybe we offer different products to different segments, or we may have to alter different areas of the marketing mix to better align with the segment that we may choose to target. Now, an important question for marketers to ask themselves is, when do you use a market segmentation strategy? So in reality, the idea that there is a single market of consumers who want the exact same thing, it no longer exists. So once a firm decides to segment its consumers, there are different strategies that can be taken depending on the product that they are offering to consumers. So when do we actually segment consumers? When it's expected that segmenting will increase sales, profit, and return on an investment. And when do we not segment consumers? And this is important, when expenses are greater than the potential increase in sales from segmentation, because there is a cost to segmenting consumers that the firm's going to have to incur. So we have to make sure that it is going to be beneficial and the costs are worth it. Common segmentation strategy, well, if the firm produces only a single product or service that's targeted towards multiple segments of consumers, this is one segmentation strategy that they could use. This is what we call one product and multiple market segments. So in this case, we have a firm that attempts to sell a product to 2 or more market segments. So here we're not focusing so much on just grouping consumers together, but we're also looking at the products and how many segments are going to be focused towards. Here, it avoids the cost of developing and producing additional versions of the product. So this is a benefit to this type of segmentation strategy. But there are additional costs that can be separate promotional campaigns. So you may have to develop the promotional element of the marketing mix multiple times to target different segments. And you may need to create a new channel of distribution for each of those segments as well. Now here, expenses are usually less than the cost of developing an entirely new product. So this makes sense if you think about it. The expenses that are involved in marketing the product to multiple segments are going to be lower than what would be to develop an entirely new product that you would have to target towards a different segment. So you would have different products for different segments. Here, what you're focused on is that it costs you less to develop those multiple promotional aspects and market towards different segments than developing an entirely new product. So example here, a great one is if we think of Disney. So Disney does a great job with their one product, which is the brand of Disney, and they market their product towards, yes, absolutely kids, that's their primary market, but we also see that they market towards adults as well. So here we've got a single product, and we can think of that product as, let's say, Disney World, and they market Disney World towards kids, but they also market it towards an adult segment as well. A second common segmentation strategy can be multiple products and multiple market segments. So here we're looking to use really a product differentiation strategy. This is justifiable if it's going to serve customers' needs better, if it doesn't reduce the quality while also adding to the adding to the price, so increasing the price. And we also have to remember that it's justifiable if it adds to sales and profits for the firm. Now, potential downside to this strategy is that different models and options can reduce the quality and raise the prices, which we saw previously that it's only justifiable to do this if you don't reduce your quality and increase your price. So that's something to be aware of when you're going to have multiple products available to multiple market segments. So a really great example of this strategy is Gillette razors. So Gillette has multiple razor products that are targeted towards men and others that are targeted towards women market segments. So we have multiple products going out to multiple market segments. Another example of this can be Tom's shoes, which were pretty popular for quite a while and still are. But here's an example of their unicorn themed shoes, and they have a version that is targeted towards adult women as well as a kids version that is targeted more towards young girls. So we're seeing here we've got multiple products that are going towards multiple segments. Now, mass customization is the next step kind of beyond a build to order type of good. Now, build to order falls short of this total mass customization because customers do not have an unlimited number of features that they can actually choose from. So if we look at a segment of one, which is this idea of mass customization, it involves tailoring products or services to the taste of individual consumers on a high volume scale. So it's not true building to order because consumers don't have the ability to choose every customized feature, but they have a limited number that they can actually choose from. Now, this occurs when each consumer has unique needs and wants, and they desire some form of extra love and care. They want some specialization from the product itself. So here's that concept of build to order, which involves manufacturing a product only when a customer places an order for it. But with the idea of mass customization, we can look at something like flower delivery, where you have multiple options, but really they're also standardized in a way. So you can customize it to you, but you still are only choosing from a limited number that are available. Okay, so not true customization, but it's mass customization. Now, when thinking about segmenting consumers based on their needs and wants, we also have to be careful that there is some form of balance so that there's value added to the consumer, but still creating efficiency for the firm itself. So this brings up in the concept of organizational synergy. So the idea that the increased customer value that's achieved through performing organizational functions more efficiently. Now, increased customer value can take many forms. It could be that the firm has more products available, that there's an improved quality, lower prices, or even easier access to the products through an improved distribution system. Now, the ultimate criterion for an organization's marketing success is that customers ultimately should be better off as a result of increased synergies for the firm. Now, the organization should also achieve increased revenues and profits from the product differentiation and the market segmentation strategies that it's going to use. So ultimately, it becomes a balancing act, because if you don't segment enough, then you have too many options available. But if you, then you don't have enough options available. But if you segment not at all, then you're looking at a single product for all consumers, and that's not beneficial for them as well. So you have to figure out, how do we segment enough that it provides value for customers, but also provides a return on investment for the firm. So that's where we see this idea of efficiencies that are formulating through organizational synergy. But firms need to also be aware of potential cannibalization that can occur. So sometimes organizational synergy, that idea of creating value for customers through organizational actions, can lead to the idea of cannibalization, where you're eating up your own product purchasing or your own consumers. So this is stealing customers and sales from an existing product that you already have when you come out with a new one. So if we think of, very simply, the idea of Diet Coke, when it entered the marketplace, it was having the whole market share for consumers who wanted a low-calorie Coca-Cola. But when Coke Zero was introduced, some of those consumers who were drinking Diet Coke moved over to Coke Zero. And you have to be careful that not too many customers leave, because then you've essentially having a cannibalization situation occurring. Now, cannibalization can also occur when a Walmart Tiffany strategy is being used. So in this case, an organization is offering different variations of the same basic products to both a high-end consumer and a low-end consumer group. So an example here, a great one, is Ann Taylor and Loft stores. So if we think about Ann Taylor and Loft are both owned by the same parent company, but Ann Taylor is a bit higher end, so targeted towards more successful, affluent, fashion-conscious type of women, whereas we see that Loft stores were targeted more towards value-conscious women who wanted clothes that fit in both a casual lifestyle and a home work environment. Now, the Loft stores ended up stealing sales from Ann Taylor stores. So we start seeing that through this Walmart, in this case, Walmart would be Loft, the low-end brand, and Ann Taylor would be the Tiffany, the high-end brand. What was happening here is that Loft stores ended up stealing consumers from Ann Taylor stores. And we later saw that more than 100 stores from both chains ended up being closed, because there simply wasn't enough consumers to feed both segments. So both chains aggressively targeted their respective customer segments by stressing online sales and opening new factory store outlets, and that's really how they sort of recovered from this. But ultimately, this is a case of cannibalization occurring, where the same parent brand was really just having the same segment and moving back and forth between the two.